After a car wreck, you may have to fight with a highly trained insurance company rep whose job is to knock your damaged claim down and out. It's a bad idea to enter the ring alone against a trained boxer, and it could be a bad idea to fight against a big insurance company by yourself. When the bell rings, Attorney Dennis Spurling will be there to fight for your rights. If you've been seriously injured in a car wreck, call me, Attorney Dennis Spurling, at 866-529-2444. That's 866-529-2444.
Dramatization.
Bad drivers cause car wrecks. Not paying attention to the road, operating electronic devices, and drinking while driving can lead to serious injuries. If you've been the victim of a bad driver, a trial lawyer may be able to help you recover money to pay your medical bills, reimburse you for lost wages, and compensate you for the pain caused by your injuries. If you, your friends, or family have been injured in a car wreck, contact me, Attorney Dennis Spurling, toll free, 866-529-2444. I'm here to help.
Hi, my name is Dennis Spurling. I'm not a lawyer, but my daddy is.
Yeah, if you've been hurt in a car accident, call my daddy.
No need to scream and yell like a little kid.
Yeah, no yelling.
My daddy will fight for your rights.
Yeah, fight for your rights.
If you've been involved in a car accident, call my daddy, Attorney Dennis Spurling.
Hello, I'm Attorney Dennis Spurling. If you've been injured in a car wreck, call me at 713-229-0770.
Call my daddy.
Dramatization.
Hi, my name is Stephanie, and these are my two adorable and handsome sons. And that is my ex-husband, Attorney Dennis Spurling. He practices personal injury law and will be more than happy to help you with claims arising from automobile accidents. He doesn't get paid unless you get paid. And as we first wives know, the more our ex-husbands get paid, the more we get paid. So let me help him help you. Call Mr. Spurling at 713-229-0770.
Call my daddy.
So, okay, let's start off with, of course, we all know that you're Uncle D, the attorney, and you always say this in your lives. I know I've been absent so many times in your lives. I do apologize. I was just doing so many things. But my first question is that you always say that you advocate for Black men, right? And I heard you. And I've seen all the live chats that, we suffered for 50, 55 years already. That's what I see. That's what I hear. So please do enlighten us, Uncle D. Why do you advocate for Black men? And what triggered you to do that? Aside from, of course, you being a Black man.
Well, in around 2010, I went through a terrible divorce, and it was the first time I'd been separated from my children. And, it caused me great pause because I realized that the dream that I was promised, which was the American dream, wasn't all it was cracked up to be. What do I mean by that? It's a great country. I love my country. I love my fellow countrymen. But I think a lot of American men realize that, for the most part, we don't receive the respect that we should receive for help building this country. Now, that's generally speaking for all men in the United States. And, and all men have a story. The problem is that Black men, for the most part, have been forced to be the mules, the work mules, the workhorses here in the United States and left without a voice. So around 2010, dealing with my own situation, with my divorce and the separation from my children, I, like many other men, I took to social media, at the time Facebook, and I began to voice my opinion. And what I found was that there were a lot of other men who felt the same way that I feel. And the reason I know is because I read the comment section. I interacted with them. I responded to them. Now, of course, as you can imagine, I got a lot of pushback because they're, the lovely ladies, as I like to call them, do not want to take any criticism. And, being an African American, a black person here in the United States, the majority of my following and friends were African American men and women. Nevertheless, some years went by, I began living my life again. Because I'm an attorney, I was able to rebound from a divorce, deal with the child support. I had money for lawyers. I did what I had to do. And things got better. It got to the point that I realized that, well, now that I'm only seeing my kids a few weekends out of the month, I can start traveling. One of the first places I traveled was the Dominican Republic. And for the most part, I got hooked. I love it. I began to speak Spanish. I like the food. It's like my own personal rest haven. I would go down there after, months of hard work. And this is when I was a lot younger. So I would work from, 8 a.m. in the morning to 12 o'clock at night, pretty much every day. And that's pretty much how I conducted my business. So at the point where I was able to get away and go overseas, it was just, there was no cell phone coverage at the time, and I just had a great time, and I enjoyed the people, the food, and I blended in. Nevertheless, around about 2016, I'd gotten so comfortable, I would stay there for weeks at a time. I rented a house in a city in the north part of the island called Puerto Plata in Torre Alta, which is a very upscale sort of part of this particular city in the Dominican Republic. And I remember looking out from my porch with my beautiful lady at the time. And I was like, I'm sitting in my rocking chair. I'm looking at the ocean, from the side of a mountain. I got the tropical forest behind me. I got my coffee in my hand. And I'm like, this is the life. This is what I work for. And I was like, wow. But then I start thinking back about all those black men and their voices that weren't heard anymore, that weren't heard. And so I opened up my Facebook page and I began to literally cut and paste what they said onto my page. And so, and I would sometimes tag the men, and put their names. But what happened was people got so angry. A lot of people got so angry because of what these men were saying. Literally, I amplify their voice because I'm an attorney and I had a TV show at the time, often appear on Fox News. And so, they got angry with me for allowing for forcing them to listen to what these men had to say about their lives and how child support has affected them and how the women in their life have, forced children upon them and how society, doesn't allow them to have a voice. And so that was back in 2016. And so from 2016 on to about 2020, I just used Facebook. And at some point between 2012 and 2016, I published a series of books called Rules to Live By: How to Maintain Peace of Mind and Happiness in a Conflicted World, which is on Amazon, and people can read it. And it basically chronicles my life, but more importantly, it mirrors the lives of so many other black men. The past 50 years, black men haven't had a voice. And so, what morphed into me allowing them to speak is now me speaking on their behalf, saying what I've heard them tell me over the past 13 years now. And I'm just speaking, I'm cleaning up, I'm speaking on their behalf. I'm saying what they would say if they themselves were as articulate and well-spoken and knowledgeable as I am. And that's how I became an advocate for Black men, because I couldn't sit on that island with all that happiness and sipping my cup of coffee, looking at the ocean, when I know that Black men in America were voiceless, and didn't have an advocate. Now, here's the thing: we always see the Pookie and Ray Ray types on television. You know, the dudes with the baseball caps to the back and the pants sagging. But 63% of Black men have reached the middle class by the time they're middle age. They don't have a voice. We are overrepresented in the military. Those men don't have a voice. The truck drivers, the plumbers, the electricians, the hardworking Black men that climb up the telephone poles, these guys, the contractors, these men don't have a voice. The hood dudes, they got a voice. They got rappers, they got, you know, everybody will throw one of them on the television and let them say what they want to say. But, you know, I'm an advocate for the hardworking, tax-paying, law-abiding Black men who know they deserve a better life and who have not had a voice over the past 50 years and who get bunched into the same corner, the same section, the same basket as all these guys who have developed this bad reputation for that hurts all Black men. So that's why I speak up on behalf of my brothers. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the broadcast. Hit the number one button if you can hear me clearly. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right. Well, today is Father's Day, and I want to wish all the fathers a happy Father's Day. I want to say that first. This is a very special day. It's a very underrated day. Often in Western countries, fathers are underappreciated, and it is, of course, one of the major problems, which is why a lot of you men don't want to have children. Shout out to all the brothers who are here, all the Black American men specifically. Those of you guys who don't know, my name is Dennis Spurling, also known as Uncle D, affectionately by the young fellas out there. And of course, the Blizzard King. Nevertheless, or should I say, I'm an attorney, I'm a podcaster, and I'm also, my favorite title is that of father. Shout out to everybody who's enjoyed their Father's Day. And over the years, I've had a lot of people ask me questions about my fatherhood techniques. What do I do? And, you know, you all can sense from the mere fact that I managed to get my ex-wife to do a lawyer commercial with me. I mean, I must be one hell of a man, all right? Because most folks can't do that. Most folks don't even get along with their exes to that point to even get them to cooperate or even speak their name without using profane language afterwards. And here I am, able to put on a television show with 2 series called Co-Parent with the Spurlings, and also to several commercials using my children and one using my ex-wife. So that says a lot. But I'm going to take the opportunity today to really talk to you guys about fatherhood. I think it's very important. more importantly, you guys have actually asked me to do this. There's many of you who have never been fathers, specifically in the Black community. 51% of Black men don't have children and aren't raised, they aren't married. And so, you know, a lot of that has to do with the fact that, you know, maybe you're turned off to fatherhood because of your own experiences, or you haven't found a woman that's worthy. So what we're going to do, fellas, is we'll have a conversation, a man-to-man conversation. Everybody's worthy of, everybody's welcome to listen, but I think you guys understand. I'm going to tell you some, give you some highlights. I'm going to go over an outline. I'm going to tell you a series of stories. And I think when I finish, you'll know a lot more about fatherhood and be able to determine what type of father you want to be after we get this thing going. Nevertheless, I want to do this now. I want to make sure I acknowledge Fahim Carter. Thank you so much for the $1.99. My man Jamal Smith, happy Father's Day to you and all the fathers here tonight. I pray on behalf the father to my children. I pray to behalf the child father to my children. You are to yours. Black fathers matter. Praise Moses. Praise Moses. Yes, right. The reason I always say praise Moses is because Moses was a great leader. He led his people to the promised land. And so what I try to do here is I'm not your leader. I'm simply a pathfinder. But we invoke the name of Moses. We invoke the name of God's chosen to lead us to the promised land. We invoke that the Most High lead his chosen to the promised land. So when we say praise Moses, it actually means something. Everything that I ask you guys to do when I say put the number 1 in the chat room is so that you can visualize the number 1 next to your name, so that you begin to say, hey, I am number 1, and you begin to treat yourself accordingly, right? If a VIP walks in a room, that's number 1, and he gets that number 1 treatment. When you see your name, you start treating yourself like you're number 1. That's why we do that. So there's a meaning behind everything. The reason they call me the Blizzard King is because after Kevin Samuels passed away, a cold shoulder was turned by Black men. And at some point I was I was the voice of that cold shoulder. When people didn't understand why men start packing up and going overseas and headed out and getting their passports, Kevin Samuels warned you. He was the harbinger, and now winter has arrived. Somebody type KS in the chat room, and somebody type winter is here in the chat room. Big shout out to my man O-Class. Thank you for advocating for us. I respect and appreciate what you do. And Jules, you drop salute from Antigua. Shout out to my man from Antigua. So yeah, one of the main components of manhood is fatherhood. Matter of fact, it is only after, well, let me say it like this. In my fraternity, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, after you pledge, you're considered a prophyte, and you never a neophyte, and you never become a prophyte until you bring someone else. You make the sacrifice necessary to bring another line along. Then you become a prophyte. Then you become a big brother. As a man, you cannot become a complete and whole man and have a great understanding of manhood until you actually begin to raise a son. That's why having sons is so important. A successful son, a wise son, a strong son, a brave son, a courageous son, a son hopefully who is a better reflection of you than you are to yourself. That is what I aspire to do, to raise better men than myself. That's what being a good father is, to make them better than you, not the same, not equal, but better than. That should be your aspiration. And you should be, as a father, you should be willing to make those sacrifices. It should come naturally to you when you see your own face in the children, or in you, when you see your face in your children's faces, it does something to you. These are my boys here. I'll show you a picture. Two of you all are familiar with two of them. My oldest, you see my oldest son, Dennis, Amon Ra Spurling. You see Roman Alexander Spurling, also known as the Crimson Sun. And you see my youngest son, Elijah Zion Spurling. Now, unfortunately, I don't have full possession of any of my children. But what I do is, when they come around me, when they're in my presence, there are certain rules and regimens that we have to follow. And what that has done over the past almost going on 2 decades now, since my nearly 16-year-old son is born, it has helped me develop an understanding of manhood. 3 different personalities, 3 different young men, and raising them in these modern times with so many challenges is cause for me to develop a better understanding of what manhood is and what fatherhood is, and the ideals that are necessary that you impose on your children in this society. We want masculinity. I want grandchildren. So I want my sons to be strong, heterosexual men who recognize that morality is crucial, not only to leadership, but also to masculinity and manhood. So these are the things that we talk about, and this is kind of what we're going to talk about tonight. Nevertheless, we're going to take a quick break. I need you gentlemen to make sure you do what it do. I got something new for you. So let's go ahead and let's see if we can make this pop off. Yeah, I like that, baby. I like that. Somebody type Mississippi Mohead in the chat room. Somebody type Mohead in the chat room, baby. That's that Mississippi Mohead. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Y'all thought it was going to be dead. No, this is still Uncle D, baby. I like it. I'm going to have to run that back again, man. That's that Mississippi Mohead. Anyway, praise Moses, man. So look, fellas, I used to have a series called, I used to do a Sunday sermon. And for you guys who've not read my books, that's just a damn shame. But those of you guys who have read my books, Rules to Live By, How to Maintain Peace of Mind and Happiness in a Conflicted World, I talk about the rules to live by as being the universal laws of the universal laws of how we operate in this society. And when you read your Bible, let me say that again. When you read your Bible, those rules become very apparent. When you read the Bible, I give you all so many examples of masculinity and manhood where it's succeeded and where it's failed. If you haven't bought my books, look, I ordered a new crop of books. I got about 55 in total, 55 sets. About 20 have already been sold. So I only have about 35 sets yet. Before I even get them, they sell out. If you'd like a copy of them, you simply have to email me at spurlingdennis@gmail.com, prepay, and you'll get it as soon as I get them in the next few weeks. Nevertheless, I talk about these rules, okay? And I have, as a result of writing my 3-volume book series, Rules to Live By, I had an opportunity to really, really dig deep into the meaning of the Holy Scripture, into the meaning of the Bible. Now, whether you're Christian, Muslim, Jewish, Hebrew, whatever you are, even if you're non-religious, what you will find is there are rules that our ancestors wrote in these books that still apply to the human condition today. Now, I'm going to give you guys a quote, and it's something that you've heard already. And if you look at the thumbnail, you see it reads, "Sins of our father." Okay? Sins of our fathers. Now, some of you may be asking, well, where does that come from? It comes from Exodus 20:5, and it goes as follows. It basically says, the farmer explained to me that Exodus 25 said that the sins of the fathers will be passed along to a third and fourth generation. Okay? That's basically what it said. Exodus 20:5 basically says that the sins of the father, or the father's sin, will be passed down to the third and fourth generation. Now, oftentimes we refer to this as generational curses. Many of us don't know where it comes from. But oftentimes, if you look back, and this is what it actually, you shall not bow down to them or worship them. For I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, punishing the children for the sin of the fathers to the third and the fourth generation of those who hate me. Okay? And if you sin against the Most High, okay, if you make something other than his God, that's what you're doing. You're demonstrating that you hate his word. So again, we're not going to do too much religion. We're not going to get too religious in here, but I do want to set that precedent, because now what I'm going to do is show you just how real that word is. So y'all thought I was playing when you see me putting these Jesus songs up here. So you thought I was playing, but morality is one of the most important things. I may curse, and when I curse, I mean it. But at the end of the day, it's about morality. Now let's explain this too. The man's role oftentimes is belittled in these modern days. They often will make you believe that the man is a nothing, a nobody. But the truth is, the man is the giver of life. Somebody type giver of life in the chat room. Not the woman, the man. Okay? I will go so far as to tell you that as to the production and maintenance of life after that child comes out of that woman, the man's role is more important than the woman's role. The father's role is more important than the mother's role. See, the mother is the bearer of life. That don't mean she created it. She bears it. She basically holds it. The man is the giver of life. It is his seed that enters into her body and fertilizes that egg, which would otherwise be like some of the dozens and possibly hundreds of others that just come out. It's flushed out by her body fluid systems down the toilet somewhere. Nothing comes out of a woman's body except death every month, unless man plants the seed of life in that. You need to understand that. Man is the giver of life. Woman is the bearer of life. She holds the life that the man gives. And when she gives that life to him, the man is then obligated to what? Protect and provide. If neither of that happens, then the life won't be sustained. So I can conclude in my logical mind that the man's role in life, the father's role in life, is far more important than the mother's role, which is for the most part nothing but a simple biological function that every female on this planet can be. Not every man can be a father, but every woman with the correct anatomy can be a mother. You see the difference? You see, being a father is not just about where you plant your seed. That's one aspect of it. But being a father is also about protection and provision. See, let's explain it like this. One man with 100 fertile women can create an abundance of life. And that abundance of life will eventually lead to a thriving nation. One man, let's give you a friend, one man on a desert island with 100 women. 10 years from now, that island will be filled up with life. 20 years, it'll be a productive community. 200 years from now, it could be a nation, an island nation. Now let's reverse that. What can one woman do for 100 men? Huh? She can do nothing but bring about war and destruction. Fights everywhere. And she can't even bear enough children to sustain that family, because only that nation, that island. Shout out to MC Recovery. So that lets you know that one man is more important because he's the bearer of life. He's the person who sees life. Shout out to C20. Thank you so much. Now that said, when we come back, we're going to talk about those of you who have not had good examples of childhood. And I know there are many of you out there like that. You have not had a good example of childhood, but there's still hope for you. We'll take a quick break and we will be right back.
One message for first your fellow Black man, and second one message for the Filipinos. Hi, Mike.
Oh my God.
She that's on the main line, tell her what you want. Oh, she that's on the main line, tell her what you want. She that's on the main line, tell her what you want. Call him up and tell her what you want. Oh, call him up, tell her what you want. Call him up, tell her what you want. Call him up, tell her what you want. Call him up and tell her what you want. Oh, she just said if you go, I'll go with you. Open up your mouth and I'll speak for you. Lord, if I go, tell me what to say. They won't believe in me. Oh, they won't believe in the Father. They won't believe in the Son. Oh, they won't believe in the Holy Ghost. They won't believe in me.
All right, welcome back. Welcome back to the broadcast. So we're talking about fatherhood tonight. We're talking about Black fathers being better fathers than the men who gave us life. Now, here's the thing. You should always respect your father. Unfortunately, many of us, especially in modern America, and I'm talking to my Black American brothers, we don't really have good examples of fatherhood. Oftentimes, for whatever reason, and many of us are coming to learn that the reason that we didn't have fathers is because many of our mothers ran our fathers away, didn't tell us about our fathers, lied to us about who our fathers were, so that we could not want to go seek them out, because she wanted to maintain control and possession, and she wanted all our love and attention. And basically she did it for selfish reasons. Basically, you got an out of control woman who doesn't understand the whole purpose of this thing. Freedom MMC, happy Father's Day, brothers. Big shout out to my young brother, Simple Shit TV, man. Support Black male media. Thank you so much. So my point is this. You don't have to have a good example of fatherhood to be a good father. And I know that may sound like, wow, yeah. Well, flip the script. You could have had a great father and turned out to be a horrible human being. I know many men who've had great examples of fatherhood. They end up being drug dealers, lazy loafs, all sorts of horrible things. So in the inverse, brothers, you don't have to have a good example of fatherhood that has actually lived in your house to be a good father. What I want you to do is put yourself in your 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old, 11, 12-year-old, 13, 14-year-old, 15-year-old, 16-year-old self and ask yourself what you needed at that time period. Imagine all the things you needed at that time. Of course, you needed food and clothing, but you also wanted somebody who would be there for you and answer the questions that you have. That first time you got hair growing out the right side of your arm, right? And then you're like, damn, is the hair going to grow on the other side of your arm? Yes, son, that's normal. That happened to me. The first time you had a midnight admission when you were an early teen and you didn't understand what this stuff was in your little thanuntanas, right? That was the first time you ejaculated in your sleep. You needed a father from that. Now, look, this conversation might be uncomfortable for some of y'all. Some of y'all might be laughing, but there are young men out there right now who didn't have these conversations. They didn't know if the hair was going to grow under both arms or not. And they were too afraid to ask their mother about some wet dream that they had. This is real shit. It's a lot of young men that didn't know how to put deodorant on or when to put deodorant on or how it's done. Many of y'all learn how to pee from your mothers. You were sitting down peeing till you got in elementary school and you saw the other little boys standing up peeing, and then you realize I'm going to get laughed at if I don't do that. I know. I'm not judging you for that. I love you. And I'm telling you, it's young boys out there right now that didn't know. You have female coping mechanisms because you got that from your mother. You think if you get loud and belligerent, that people will back down, but that's not what happens to men when they get loud and belligerent. They get shot, they get beat up, they get jacked. Because men don't respond to women, the rest of the world doesn't respond to men like that. They might laugh a woman off because she's not seen as a threat, but you can't do it as a man. So you have to learn masculine and male coping mechanisms. Shout out to my man Quiet Storm. He says, salute Uncle D. Happy Father's Day to you. And all the brothers dropped my book payment in the PayPal. Thank you so much, brother. I received that. Make sure you email your address to me. So again, these are just one of the things you needed a father for, and you didn't have him there for. So make sure you're there for your sons. Make sure you're the one that teaches them, hey, when they're ready to head off to college or whatever, son, this is how you use a condom. So they don't have to learn from some woman. Son, this is what being a man is about. Not what you see on TV, not how many women you can lay with, not how big your car is, but your integrity, your work ethic. Do you keep your word? Are you honest? Are you hardworking? These are the things that you need. These are the masculine traits you need to infuse in your children. At what stage and age did you need that? Your father to tell you after you lost a basketball game or a football game, that's okay, son, don't worry about it. You'll have another chance. There'll be plenty of games being played. And at the end of the day, these are just games. And how you deal with the losses and how you deal with the wins determines your integrity. You needed that father to tell you that at 15 and 16 years old. Somebody who had built you up to the point that you trusted them and loved them. So again, rethink your life. Rethink the stages where you needed certain things, reassurance. And then be that father to your children when they get that age. Be to your children what you didn't receive from your father. And then you won't have had to need a good example of fatherhood to be a good father. I hope that registers with y'all. Now, let me tell you something else. And this is just a preliminary. We're doing the prelims. Okay, this is the chips and the dip before we get deep into the conversation. All right? Fellas, the only way you can heal yourself from the pain associated with a deficient father in that he was absent or he wasn't there is to be a better father to your children. Hell, being a better father might be a low standard for you because if your father wasn't there, all you got to do is be present and do some of the other things we talked about and we will talk about. And that right there is going to bring about healing. But let me tell you what's not going to help you. Attempting to get your father to admit his mistakes, attempting to get him to apologize for the mistakes he made is not going to yield the results that you seek. Let me say that again. Some of y'all are beating y'all daddies up because they weren't there, because you don't understand why they didn't fight for you. You don't understand why they didn't come looking for you. You didn't understand why they didn't come pick you up or whatever. You don't understand why they would get your mama pregnant, and then when she make it too difficult for them to be around, you not to sit there and battle it out with them. You trying to get them to apologize for that is not going to give you the result that you seek. You may take solace in the fact that you were right, or that apology may not be good enough. Either way, it just makes you more angry. Because see, now you say, well, if you knew I was right then, if I'm right then, you should have knew I was right back then. And then you start blaming others. This is not going to help heal you. What it will help heal you is being a better father to your children. Now, that said, the most important step in being a good father is your decision into who impregnate. You hear me? Somebody type knocked up in the chat room. Somebody type knocked up in the chat room. Your decision on who to impregnate. Not only who, but the time. I ain't talking about 12 o'clock or 2 o'clock. That's not what I'm talking about. The time in regard to the time that you're having or the age limit that you are, the timing and place. If you knock a woman up and you're a married man, that's a bad time. If you knock a woman up and you 15 years old, that's a bad time. If you knock a woman up and you on your way to prison or you just getting out of prison, that's a bad time. The place that you have in your life. If you between jobs, that's a bad time. If you unstable, you got mental issues. If she unstable, she got mental issues, that's a bad time. You got to be careful where you plant your seed. Somebody type plant your seed in fertile ground. Or better yet, just type plant your seed. Somebody in the chat room, plant your seed. Where you plant your seed is going to determine heavily the effect, is going to heavily affect the life that you bring forth into this world. It's your fault for fucking that rotten bitch. You gave her life. She would have no power over this child had you not. You chose this child's mother. You chose where to plant this seed. You chose that. You chose the time. You chose the place. That life started as an idea in your mind. Something like, this bitch is fine. I'm about to knock her up. But it started here and it flowed down through your body, out of your phallus into this woman. That's where the idea of that life started. So it's your fault, but it's also your blessing. But it's your decision. Those of you guys who read my book, Uncle Slim, you may recall a story where Uncle Slim, having had years of dealing with his child's mother, his children's mother, voiced to me some regret that he had. Now, just so you understand, Uncle Slim, young man from Mississippi, moved out to urban inner city. Awkward kind of kid, moving from the country to urban inner city, Los Angeles. It's rough. It was an adjustment period. Life didn't mean that much back then. You had a lot of people relocating to these cities. It was the 1950s, 1960s. So a lot of people from Mississippi and the South in general were leaving Jim Crow South and going for the promised lands of Chicago, Detroit, Los Angeles, Oakland. But many people brought those same ideas with them. So it wasn't a very friendly place for Uncle Slim to be. Being a young man, he picked on what was going on around him. Having a lot of bitches, having a lot of women around you, been able to sleep with a lot of women. Really didn't even matter the caliber of the women as long as she was appealing to you. Her character and her character wasn't as important. So he ended up dealing with certain types of women. He got a young woman pregnant very early on, in his early 20s. He was having a drug problem at the time, fresh out the military, living with his mother. That probably wasn't a good time or place in his life to have that child. That's his oldest son. The next woman he ended up getting pregnant turned out to be a popping chick. She was popping. She was cool. She was in the street. She was pretty. Beautiful woman. I think her mother was white, something like that. So she had that fair skin. Mind you, this is the 70s. This is the 80s. Unfortunately, she had a propensity for drug use, and she got addicted to heroin. And that led to other things that she had or she felt she needed to do to sustain that habit, which included boosting. Somebody type boosting in the chat room. Well, you guys who don't know what boosting is, that's what they're doing now. Going into these stores, coming out with clothes. Boosting. They go to these high-end stores, they come out with clothes. They get a van, they sell the clothes out the back of the van, they do with the money whatever they will. Prostitution. Because that comes with it. A woman can always sell her body to make some money. Matter of fact, if she got what they need, the drug dealers will give her the D in exchange for the D. Unfortunately, Uncle Slim had got addicted to this woman in that he fell in love with this woman. Impregnated her 3 different times. Mind you, this woman is in and out of prison. Petty crimes, drug use, violation of parole. Uncle Slim is making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. And this is in the 80s. That wasn't the end of it. He got another woman pregnant. Mind you, this is the recklessness with your penis that I'm talking to you guys about. Got another woman, a Hispanic woman, but she wasn't having no parts of it. He got her pregnant twice, one set of twins and an older daughter. She couldn't live that lifestyle, so bam, they left. They went back to the Midwest, wherever they were from. They didn't want to live that LA lifestyle, and Uncle Slim couldn't let it go. This woman didn't want to have anything, or her children have anything to do with their biological father. Even though they may call him and acknowledge him as the father, he was reckless. He's beginning to spread his seed. So now he already has 7 children that we know of. This is recklessness. And towards the end of his life, it began to weigh heavy on him. Imagine knowing you have children out there. Imagine. But you can't be the father to them that you wanted to be. That weighs on you. But nevertheless, fast forward now, looking back, his oldest son, who grew up largely without him, got murdered by gang members for being in the wrong place at the wrong time. The woman he had children with, who was in and out of prison. One of them is a single mother. The other was born addicted to heroin. And the other one is a prostitute. This is what happens when you plant your seeds in ground that's not fertile. They can't help but take up the elements of the mother. The other woman, the Hispanic woman, those children seem to be fine. But he doesn't have a part of their life. So these are lessons that we can learn from the men that came before us. Being reckless with your penis. Being reckless with your penis is a bad way to start off being a father. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Y'all make sure y'all do what you do. All right, welcome back to the broadcast. So, fellas, we're having an honest conversation. It's Father's Day. Somebody type Father's Day in the chat room. Is this an uncomfortable conversation? Y'all not popping like you normally do. Are you learning lessons? Because, see, the common theme here, fellas, the common theme you need to understand is that the sins of the father fall upon the generation, on the children. Our Bible tells us it's down to the third and fourth generation. Are you with me? I gave an example of Uncle Slim. He made a decision out of vanity. He made a decision out of lust. And where he planted his seed, not a wise decision, but a lustful decision, a compulsive decision. And it wrecked generation after generation. Being reckless with your penis. Now I'm going to tell you another story of a young-minded man that never grew up. Somebody type young-minded in the chat room. It's like Peter Pan. This young man was a superstar in high school. He was captain of the basketball team, captain of the football team, captain of the anything you can have. He was a homecoming king. He was the school president. Now, this happened in the 20th century. This young-minded man who never grew up, all the girls liked him in high school. Unfortunately, he went to a newly integrated high school. And all them white girls liked him too, because women are women. A woman is a woman. Some of them you get a little bit more neck rolling and a little bit more finger wagging, but they're all women. They all want the man who is the most desirable. And this young-minded man came from a father who himself was a bit young-minded in that he cheated on his wife. What does Uncle D tell y'all? Don't cheat. Don't cheat on your wives. Don't cheat on your girlfriends. Don't cheat on your fiancés. Don't cheat on your women. Why? It's a morality thing. You're not doing it for them. You're doing it for yourself. Don't do that. You can't maintain the moral high ground if you're cheating. But anyway, his father was a cheater. And somehow this young man thought, okay, this is nothing. So at 15 years old, he's having sex. And as a result of sexual intercourse with a young woman who was white, mind you, this is in the 1950s, 1940s, or newly integrated, so it's 1950s, something like that. They had this half-white baby. Now, for you all who don't know, white women who had half-white babies were ostracized. And that white family didn't want that white baby. So what ends up happening? Same thing that's happening now. All these biracial children get sent over to the black community to be raised. In this particular situation, the young-minded man, he didn't have any money, but yet he had this child. And this child then became the responsibility of the father, who was extremely disappointed in his young-minded son, but then was still stuck with this baby. So he and his wife, who he'd been cheating on, have stuck with raising this child. Shout out to my man Freedom MMC. Plant your seed in high and dry land and bless your grandchildren, or plant your seed in a landfill and curse your generation. Amen to that. So this young child is being raised by what should be her grandparents. The young man goes off. He's still reckless with his penis. He had not learned his lesson. Has sex with so many different women. He has the reputation of being what we used to call back in the day a player. He's sleeping with young women, married women, women who have boyfriends. Even the women he dated, he would sleep with their friends. At some point, he got married, and he would sleep with his wife's friends. He would sleep with women in his job. He would sleep with women. I'm telling you a true story. It got to the point that the reputation that this man had all across the towns that he lived in was that he was a whoremonger. He would sleep with all these different women. No control. Now, on paper, he looked great. He managed to get through school, educated, and all that stuff. But he was so thoughtless when it came to what he did with his penis. A man has the power to both build and destroy life. What did I tell you all earlier? The power of life comes from the man. So what does he do with that life after it's presented to him? Well, unfortunately, this man used his penis to destroy. His life-giving seed to destroy. He had multiple children, multiple women, and now this man is gone. So what ended up happening? Well, the young child that grew up, having been adopted by her grandparents, began to have resentment towards all of his children. So she did everything she could to undermine the relationships with those children. Everything they possibly could. She would infuse herself in arguments with the other children. The other children didn't understand why. Because there was resentment there, because she was the one that was given away. Mind you, the grandfather is long gone. The father's long gone. And we're 2-3 generations in. Such a bad situation that even his children's children are suffering. Because they can't have a cohesive family because of all the destruction. So these are just some mild lessons. I don't want to divulge all of these different things because there are people listening who may know these famous stories and they'll say, oh, that's who I'm talking about. But what I am going to do next is I'm going to talk to you about some examples of fatherhood. And those are some examples, even though it's convoluted, I'm going to begin to break things down so you guys can understand exactly. We're going to talk about a concept called the hard father. Somebody type the hard father in the chat room. Somebody type the hard father in the chat room. Somebody type the simp father in the chat room. Somebody type the simp father in the chat room. Somebody type the immoral father in the chat room. So we're going to talk about the hard father, the simp father, and the immoral father in the chat room. And these are going to be some points. And I think you guys, when we finish, you'll have a better understanding of fatherhood and what you can expect from fatherhood. And those of you guys who are fathers, you can begin to say, okay, that's who I am. I get that. But nevertheless, we're an hour into this thing. We need 21 super chats. Y'all are gonna be with Jesus until I get 21 super chat. You got me working, got me thinking, you got me analyzing. I need you all to pay me for my time. Make sure, let me get the 21 super chats. We'll be right All right, you guys gotta pay me for my time. I see. Let me see how many more super chats we need. Some more super chats. We way below where we need to be after an hour in. Give me 8 more super chats, and I'll come back and we'll continue this subject. Hard father, the simp father, the immoral father. That's what I want to talk about. I know you guys need to hear it. I need y'all to pay me for my time. These concepts are not easy to come up with, and you're not gonna get this anywhere else on YouTube. Pay me for my time. I need 8 more super chats. Come on, fellas, give it. All right, maybe we need to change this up again. I need y'all to pay me for my time. So we're going to change it up a little bit. Praise Moses. Okay, we're almost there. We need 2 more super chats and we'll get back to the broadcast. Pay me for my time. Thank you, everybody who contributed to the super chat. I still want 4 more super chats so we can get to 20, but I want to get this concept out the way because it's very important. I have faith that you guys will pay me for my time, but I want to make sure we get this in. So somebody in here needs to hear this, and I know you do. You guys always ask me my secrets. You always say, Uncle D, well, how do you do it? How do you do it? How do you raise these boys to be strong, dominant, masculine men? You see my sons out there beating up grown men. For those of you guys who follow me on my Instagram page and my YouTube page, the gentleman that you guys saw my son grappling against the other day in a YouTube post that I put up is a professional MMA fighter and also one of his martial arts instructors, longtime martial arts instructors, who my little boy was afraid of for many years. You can imagine why. He's a tough guy. You know, he managed to, I'm going to turn this sound off so you guys can see what we're dealing with. How do you raise boys to be this mentally tough? How do you do that? You know, in this world full of, you know, little guys who rather, you know, walk around in dresses and what. How do you do that? Huh? Well, the thing is, fellas, you have to be hard. You have to be a hard father. Okay? This is my little boy. You guys know him as Little Dennis. He is he is the oldest son. You see him on my broadcast from time to time with the Crimson Son. What you're gonna see him do is take this grown-ass man, hip bump him. Mind you, my baby's only 15 years old, and put him in an Ezekiel choke and make him tap. You see what I mean? Look how cold my face is. I want you to look at my boy's face. No emotion. You see what I'm saying? No emotion at all. You see? And they did that from a standing position. How do you take a baby, a sweet baby, and turn him into a man? How do you protect these boys? How do you do that? How? What's the magic answer? What is the answer? Well, fellas, the short and sweet of it is you need to be a hard father, but not just a hard father, but a hard, wise father. Somebody type hard, wise father in the chat room. Now, what are the attributes of a hard, wise father? Shout out to my man, Martin Dupree. Thank you so much. Shout out to Wrench Turner, slowly rocking back and forth with my MLK church fan. That's my guy. The Brotherhood, salute to all the fathers out there. Yes, salute. Greg Leamson Jr., God bless you, Uncle D. Happy Father's Day to all of the great fathers. Salute. Soul to Soul Travel, super chat. Thank you so much, James Timmy. Blessings of Blizzard King. My man, Freedom MC, he says, plant your seed in high and dry land and bless your grandchildren, or plant your seed in the landfill and curse your grandchildren. Ain't that the truth? My man, Quiet Storm says, salute, Uncle D. Happy Father's Day to you and all the brothers. Drop my book payment in the PayPal. Y'all make sure y'all send me your email addresses. But this is my boy. And the reason that I'm letting you see what my sons do and what I do with my sons is because the proof is in the pudding. I'm not qualified to give you advice on being a father unless you can see the type of young men I'm raising. I'm telling you that I fall in the category of hard father. Okay? The hard father. Somebody type the hard father in the chat room. Who is the hard father? You got the hard wise father. Why? Did I say the hard liked father? Did I say the hard loved father? No, the hard father who's blessed with wisdom. What does he do? He watches everything. The hard father watches everything. The hard father watches everything and everybody, and he lets nothing slide. The hard father watches everything and everybody, and he lets nothing slide. The hard father instills fear in those around him. This is the hard father. Some of you all had hard fathers. Was he wise? I don't know. We ain't got to that point. But the hard father instills fear in those around him. Some may see him as possibly deadly. This is the hard father. Some of y'all might call him crazy. This is the hard father. This is an attribute of a hard father. Type hard father in the chat room. You got to be hard, at least according to other people. People know that he's very protective of what he controls: his house, his children, his woman, his life. He's very protective of what's his. So you can't just be provision. You can't just throw money at the problem. You got to be protective. You got to be the hard father to be protected, because somebody will try to get you off your pivot. Somebody will try to knock you off your square. Oh, ease up a little bit, hard father. It's not that serious. Let them have a little leeway. They got to learn on their own. No, that is not the way of the hard father. His house is in order because he is a hard father. His woman is cooperative because he is a hard father. Now, let me tell you something. I learned all this the hard way. I was an easy simp nigga like some of y'all out there, excuse the language. But it's best to be the hard father. His woman is cooperative. His children are respectful and disciplined. I am the hard father. I did not have a hard father. In fact, I would argue I was surrounded by weak men. Now, let me tell you about this. Now, you can't just, you meet a woman on the first date. I'm a hard man. Don't do that. You can let her know without letting her know. You don't want to run her off. Be the best of you. But when that woman begins to ask you about being a wife, you need to start telling her what her role has to be. You want to be my wife? Okay, cool, baby. It's been all fun games, dinner and dating and movies and going. Yeah, it's been all fun games. You want to be my wife? Here's the role that you need to fill. Any of this that you can't fulfill, well, you can't be my wife. See, you're in charge. She might be in charge of letting you in the door, but you're in charge of whether or not she stays or not, whether she qualifies for this appointment, which is not a life position if she breaches the contract. She needs to be cooperative. If she's not cooperative, she can't stay. What does that mean? You need to put clothes on when you go out. You need to be home before dark, because shit happens. I'm a grown woman. Yeah, but you need to have your grown ass in this house before dark. If we can't get that straight, there's no need to go any further. You can hit the door. That's a hard man. That's a hard man with rules and regulations. Do you hear me? And you need to stand on that. And it's better to get rid of a hard-headed woman early on. Otherwise, she gonna make your life hard. Shout out to Freedom MMC. If you haven't liked this video, share with someone who will. I'm trying to tell you, fellas, I'm trying to save you a lot of pain and anguish. Leave that liberal bitch alone. Leave that I want to do. You can't tell me what to do. I'm a grown woman ass broad alone. That don't want to put no clothes on ass broad alone. Leave her alone. There ain't going to be nothing but pain after that. You're going to ask for it and you're going to get what you asked for and you might not like it. You got to be hard when it comes to your integrity or your rules and your regulations for how you want to conduct your house. This is the order that your house is in. That makes you hard. That doesn't make you bad. Just makes you hard because you stuck in fast in how you put this. Some of y'all, well, you need to be open-minded. You can be so open-minded that your fucking brains can fall out. That's what open-minded means. Your mind is open. Anything can get in and everything can fall out. Keep on being open-minded. Has that worked over the past 50 years? You weak-ass egalitarian black dudes that's too goddamn nice. You're so damn nice. Your women publicly disrespect you on every media source they can. Has that worked, fellas? Hell no, it ain't worked. So now I'm telling you what's necessary. The hard father. The hard father is the role you need to play. Your children will be disciplined. Your children will be disciplined by both your mouth and by your hand. Your children, when in public, will conduct themselves in a manner which reflects that they understand that there will be consequences for disobedience and disrespect. The hard father. You understand me? The hard father takes that hand and whoops that ass to save a life. Because see, if you don't instill discipline in your children, and let me tell you like this, your children need to fear you when they're little. Because children are tyrants. You hear me? As wonderful as my sons are, when they had poor understanding before the age of 2, 3 years old, they were tyrants. What is a tyrant? A tyrant is that little baby you see falling out in the middle of the goddamn Walmart, kicking on the ground. That's a tyrant. The only thing they respect is discipline. You don't reason with a baby. You don't rationalize with a baby. You don't ask the baby for permission to get them back in line. You explain to them there's going to be an immediate causal result of you doing that. In other words, this hand across your booty. Boop. You don't rationalize with children. Then at a certain age, corporal punishment is off the books. When your children get 11, 10, 11, 12, 13 years old, especially boys, they become men. Daughters, when they start blossoming, you can't do it. You failed at that point. But discipline needs to be a daily part of their life. Daily. Matter of fact, you can outsource some of that. You guys see what I do with martial arts? From the time my children were 4 and 6 years old, they've been involved in martial arts because they recognize that there's going to be somebody in their face telling them what to do, and if they don't do it, there's going to be consequences. These are your children. So you got your woman and your children on your program. This makes you a hard man and a hard father. Now, here's what makes you wise. Because see, that's the hard father. Where's the wisdom come in? They all know that the requirements that you impose upon your children, discipline, integrity, your woman dressing like she got some sense, like she's not a whore, so she can distinguish herself from these other women out here. All these requirements you impose upon them are for their best interest. Somebody type for your best interest in the chat room. Somebody type for your best interest in the chat room. Why do I want my woman home before dark? Because the freaks come out at night. The crooks and the criminals come out at night. How you know? Hit. I used to hang out with them. Why do you want her dressing and covering her body up and not being overexposed when she's out by herself? Because men will tell she's advertising, and that's too much temptation. And you're going to cover your body up because that's going to limit the number of men that's going to run up on you. If you advertise, hell, a dog will come up and sniff you. But if you cover yourself up, that eliminates the idea that a certain caliber of men, you ain't going to be able to stop them all running up. If you got a fine woman, men going to try to talk to her. Period. You're going to have to deal with that. But your woman understands this is why you cover up. Why you come home at night? Why before dark? Because it's dangerous outside. Tires go flat. I don't want you on the side of the road. Your ass is out at 11, 12 o'clock at night on girls' night. Hell no. But the most important thing, your children and your woman and the people in your household understand that the requirements that you impose upon them are done for their best interest. Son, you know why you got to do this martial arts? Because it's going to make you physically fit, mentally tough, teach you how to fight, teach you how to defend yourself, make sure you're disciplined. You know why you got to lift weights? Because it's going to teach you physical fitness, reinforce some of those same things. And that carries over. Then they start saying, oh, everything he asked me to do is for my best interest. Wow. Cutting the grass, because that teaches you how to take care of your lawn and the importance of washing the car. That's the car you ride around and I drop you off at school. You don't want me drop you off in the dusty car. Cutting your hair, brushing your teeth, washing your ass, putting oil on your body, all these different things. Dressing in a suit that fits. All that is how people will perceive you. They'll perceive you with more respect. Life will be easier. Your children realize that everything he does is done in my best interest. So what does that require? Wisdom requires you not to be a selfish father. So now you went from just being a hard father to the hard, wise father. Somebody type hard, wise father in the chat room. Your children and your woman know who you are. The outside world, they may see you as too hard. Somebody type too hard in the chat room. The outside world may see you as being too hard in this modern world. But see, what they can't argue with is the order and structure of your home, which will in time demonstrate results that none of them could argue with. You understand? That's the hard, wise father. That's the hard father. But it's the hard, wise father. By contrast, hear me, somebody type the hard, foolish father in the chat room. The hard, foolish father in the chat room. You know this dude. Now, he shares a lot of attributes with the wise, hard father. Some of you had this dude. He was hard. But unlike the hard father who was wise, the hard father who is foolish, they may not have liked the hard, wise father, but they respected him because they understood. The hard, foolish father, he's hated. They happy he dead. He's seen as a barbarian. Why? Because he's hard. He imposes his will, not because of some reason that benefits the interests of his children and his woman. Oh, just because he said so. Just because he said so. He's nothing more than a tyrant. Some of y'all know that guy. Unreasonable. He beats his children for no reason at all. Made up reasons. Because he's had a bad day. Many of these single mothers are like that. Whoa. They hard and foolish women. Because they don't know the difference between they can't be a father and a mother. So they think they're being hard like the hard father, but in actuality, they're just foolish. The hard father is wise. The hard father that's foolish is not a good father. He's hated. Some of y'all had hard fathers like that. I'm going to teach you how to be a man. They take you behind the house and beat you up as if That's supposed to teach you how to be a man. Big shout out to my man, MS Delta Guy. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers, teachers, mentors, coaches, etc., who love and support their black sons and other black men. Thank you so much, brother. You get to rock and roll today. Appreciate you. Now we're going to take a quick break and we're going to come back and talk about the simp father, of which there are a lot of them out there. There are a lot of simp fathers out there. Y'all listen up. We'll be right back. Matter of fact, in celebration of my man, Mississippi Delta Guy, I'm going to give you some of that mohead. Broadcast, fellas, welcome back. Y'all make sure y'all hit the number 1 button. I appreciate y'all, man. So we are talking about fatherhood here tonight. Okay, and I need y'all to understand. My man Broken Blade said drill sergeant versus tyrant. Yeah, both of those are hard men, but the hard wise father and the hard foolish father get 2 different results. But now we're going to talk about the simp father. Many of you guys, when I say the word simp, this is the guy that's too laid back. He lets too much slide. He let his woman do whatever. Y'all have had situations like that. Some of y'all got fathers like that right now. Your mama talk to you crazy. He don't say nothing. He disrespectful. He let too much slide too soon. And then when he finally gets his backbone together and says something, it's too late. He's too fucking laid back. You hear me? It's too laid back. He let too much slide. She talk about him. She talk about you. Some of these, you might be your daddy's new girlfriend, a new wife. It's just he too laid back with it. He need to check this broad. And you looking at him like, why don't you check this broad? Well, nevertheless, he let the woman do whatever. He let her talk to him any kind of way. This man garners no respect. You cannot be a father and control a household if you garner no respect, because they just gonna disregard what you say. Your children gonna run over you. Your sons aren't gonna respect you. Now the question you have to ask is, why is it that the simp father won't take his proper role? Why won't he take his proper role as protector and provider and peacekeeper in the household? If a lion sees 2 lionesses fighting or a cub fighting with his mother or something like that, he gonna go in there and fight both of them, break that fight up. That's the protector and the provider. He keeps order in the household. A simp father who garners no respect can't do that. Now, one of the reasons why is because he might be undermined by his woman. Why? Well, these days, sometimes women, they have more education than the men. Sometimes they make more money than the men. Sometimes this man puts so much value on this woman, he lets her get away with anything because he thinks otherwise he might lose her. And that in itself might be a bad thing. And I say it like that because, in my opinion, losing a woman that's disrespectful to you is not a loss. But again, let's run that through. You got a woman who makes more money than you. So you feel, well, she makes more money than me, so she should have equal or more say so. No. The father, the man, is the authority of the house. Somebody type authority of the house in the chat room. The man is the authority in the household. I don't care if she make $1 million a year and you make $30,000 a year. The man is the authority in the house. How do you justify that? She's paying all the bills. Maybe she is, but she ain't God. She's not God. And the Most High told me in my Bible that Jesus treats the church like she's the bride and he's the bridegroom. And the husband is to wife as to Jesus was to the church. So what does that mean? That means he is the moral authority of the household. He is the moral authority of the household. The man, the father, is the moral authority of the household. That's in your Bible. I know your preacher ain't told you that because he said that he'll run all the women up out the church. He'll lose his money. I know he ain't tell you that. But that's what your Bible says. The man is the moral authority of the house. So he calls the shots. He's the protector and the provider. So what he says goes when it comes to morality. Because let me tell you what happens when the man don't garner no respect in the house. Hybrid 7-Eleven, happy Father's Day, brothers. Thank you so much. Let me tell you what happens when people don't feel you, when you too laid back, when you a simp. Your children get abused. It's the same situation as when the man is gone. Let me tell you, your children get abused. Them Catholic preachers and priests who took advantage of them children, a lot of those children didn't have fathers. And not having a father and having a weak father who people know is not going to do anything is the same thing. Your children get abused. Let me say that again to you simps, you laid back men who are too laid back, letting everything slide, letting your woman do whatever. Your children end up in precarious places. Everybody sees that. Them predators see that. This lion ain't on his job. This lion ain't go. This is a toothless lion. He don't even roar. His claws ain't sharp. He let anything slide. His daughters get taken advantage of. His sons get taken advantage of. Child abuse happens when you're too laid back. Nobody's afraid of it. They see your woman running all over you. This is the cause and effect. You instill fear in no one. If your woman don't respect you, you think these other men are? You think these crooks and criminals are? No. Not at all. That's child abuse. You know what else happens when you're too laid back? Your woman is more prone to cheat on you. Yeah. Yeah, how about that? Huh? Your woman is more prone to cheat on you. First of all, she don't respect you. A coochie don't get wet for you. Another thing, she figured out I can do whatever the hell. I can come in all time of night. I can do what I want to do. She doesn't respect you. She doesn't respect your moral authority. Your children get abused. Your woman cheats on you. Nobody respects you. Nobody fears you. You will be seen as weak. That's the simp father. That's the too easy, too laid back, let too much slide. Let your woman do whatever. Let her talk to you reckless. Let her talk to you any way you can. You look weak. And you might be, I'm doing everything, but I'm doing everything. I'm doing what they say I'm supposed to do, but you're a poor protector. Let me give you an example. I was confronted with this situation where the reasonable thing was to be more laid back. Let certain things slide. It's not that big of a deal. This is my real life. Y'all know my boy, Roman. Little Roman was in the 4th grade. Well, not 4th grade. He was 4 years old, just started school. His mama had him in this prestigious school. It was a nice little black school. I'm not going to name the name of them, but fuck them. And what had happened was he was in class and he had this little jacket they got from, a little Walmart jacket. I think his grandmother got him a jacket. His mother's mother had bought him and his brother a little jacket. It was a little green jacket with a little orange on the inside. I ain't seen that jacket in years. I think we gave it away to Goodwill. But at this time, he had the jacket. His brother had the jacket. The same jacket, just one for him, one for his brother. That was part of his identity. His brother put on his jacket, he'll put on his jacket, they'll go to school. Now, they didn't go to the same schools, but still. We had Roman in this school because Roman was born in September. So that means he had to wait till the following year before he started school, which means what? He graduated when he's 19. So by putting him in this school, he's in kindergarten, go to first grade, so he'll be in with the 4-year-olds and the 5-year-olds. So it would have corrected some time. On top of that, it was a prestigious school. Helped one little boy get into Harvard recently. One little boy who attended this prestigious black school here in Houston just recently got admitted to Harvard. So it's a good school. But unfortunately, at this school, this little jacket had come up missing. And Roman said, "Daddy, where's my jacket?" "Somebody has my jacket." "Okay, baby, where's your jacket? Did you lose the jacket?" "No, another little boy has my jacket." And I'm like, "Okay, did you tell your mother?" Yeah, she told her mother, and her mother was calling the administrator, "Hey, this other child has mistakenly taken my son's jacket and is wearing his jacket every day." And so imagine you 4 years old and you sitting in a class and another little boy has your jacket on, the jacket that your grandmother bought you that looks like the jacket that your brother wears to school every day, who you identify with. That's y'all thing. That's like being in a fraternity and somebody else wearing your frat patches and stuff. Imagine how that made my 4-year-old son feel. It made him feel powerless. He would tell the teacher wouldn't do nothing. Some of these black female teachers up at some of these schools treat the children like shit, prestigious or not. Just, boy, shit, that's his jacket. So this went on for several weeks, and I could hear the torment in my son's voice. Now, I had the option. This jacket probably ain't cost me $20, $30 at Walmart. I could have went and bought him another jacket, looked just like it. If I was laid back. I could have just let it slide and said, "Son, just get over that. I'll buy you a new jacket." I could have done that. But my son was forced looking at his jacket being worn by somebody else every day. And so I thought about it. I said, I got to do something about this. Why? Because it's my job to protect my son. It was causing him emotional torment because it's his. Imagine somebody riding around in your car. That means something to a baby. A 4-year-old, that's meaningful to them. That's his jacket. Nevertheless, I called the principal a couple of times. The principal didn't answer me. So I sent a letter. I got no response. Because they didn't respond to me, now at this point, okay, now what's the problem? But what are we looking at? We looking at another little boy in the class with my son's jacket. So what did I do? I went to the police. Oh, shit. I went to the police and reported my son's jacket stolen. I gave him the principal's phone number. I went to the HPD, the Houston Police Department, and reported my son's jacket stolen. And I let them know who had it and where it was. So, of course, I got a phone call for the principal the next day, and they wanted to meet with me that Friday. Me and the mother, my ex-wife at the time. And I'm like, okay. So when I got in there, they immediately, the principal immediately handed me my son's jacket. I'm like, fine, great. And then they said, but before you go, we don't think that you're the type of person, the parent that we need for this school. Why? Because I ain't let it go. My son had been watching this other little boy wear his jacket for years, for weeks and weeks, and it was causing him torment, and nobody would pay any attention to my son. And then when I called up there, they didn't pay attention to me. But I knew the harm that was being caused. Now, I could have been laid back and just let it slide, which is probably would have been the reasonable thing to do. But I didn't. Because I'm a hard father. And in my wisdom, I recognized that my son, not having belief in me over the long run, not thinking that I could be a good protector and a provider over the long run, him seeing me as weak, starting off at 4 years old, would cause him to lose respect for me. So I had to get his jacket back, or at least go down trying. So I got his jacket back. They kicked him out this little prestigious school that helped the other boy get in Harvard and would have helped him graduate at 17 instead of at 18 instead of 19. But you know what? My son adores me. He loves me. He sees me as his protector. He remembered that story for many years. Now, it might have faded in his mind at this point, but what that did was made him feel like, oh, my daddy protected me. My daddy loves me. I can rely on my daddy. And I gave him an example of manhood and fatherhood. Here's another thing. After it was all over with, I was in my office, and I know that there is a child therapist, and I asked the child therapist, did I overreact? She said, well, you know, had you not done anything, it would have undermined your child's belief in your ability to protect them. And that could have had ramifications down the road. That's what's happened to so many of you young men, so many of you older men. Those men who were supposed to protect you were too easy and too laid back. They let too much slide. That's why you got abused. That's why the teachers at the school treated you like that. That's why your woman didn't respect you. That's why she stepped out on you. That's why your mother stepped out on your father. This is why. Too laid back. I want you to roll that up and think about it for a minute. But in the meantime, we need another 5 super chats, and we're going to come back and we're going to talk about another very important aspect of fatherhood, the immoral father. The immoral father. Because that's an often overlooked concept, the immoral father. I need 5 more super chats.
Prism has come to me with something. So everybody please listen.
Me under the blood, Jesus cover me under the blood, under the blood. Me say me under the blood, Jesus you been cover me under the blood. In the morning when me wake up, and the blood that Jesus me take up. And when me feel like me I go break up, put the blood on me face just like a makeup. In the morning when me wake up, and the blood of Jesus me take up. And when me feel like me heart break up, put the blood on me face just like a makeup. Under the blood, under the blood, Jesus cover me. Jesus you will cover me. Under the blood me say me.
All right, welcome back to the broadcast. Big shout out to T-Sam Under the Blood. I guess, look, I'm going to tell y'all something. Like, this is why I don't get these conversations. I can tell, like, you know, I appreciate that y'all don't pay me for my time when I do this. When I talk about what these lovely ladies are doing, I get flooded with super chats. I get flooded with that. But when I talk about things that really actually help build you guys up, unless it's some, you know, foolishness in it, you know, and it says a lot, you know what I mean? If you want me to talk about stuff like the military, you want me to talk about aspects of manhood, you see what I mean? Then you got to make sure you show me your appreciation with subscriptions and likes. Look at the like count on this. You see what I'm saying? Look at the thumbs up. Look at this is, you know, so I give you guys what you want and you show me what you want based on your subscribes, your likes, and your super chats. We don't have a lot of super chats tonight. I appreciate it. I'd like to get another 3. You see what I mean? I'd like to get another 8, but nevertheless, this is why we can rarely have these conversations, because this is not what appeals to the masses of you men, unfortunately. But I think it's a very important conversation, and I'm willing to make the sacrifice to do it. That said, we've talked about the following, okay? We talked about the hard father, the aspects of the hard father. We've talked about the hard wise father versus the hard foolish father. And I hope these names that I evoke, these terms, they will invoke, the words will invoke a sentence, and the sentence will invoke the paragraphs and these stories that I've shared with you so that you can remember these. The hard wise father versus the hard foolish father. Either way, they both have aspects of the hard father. The simp father, the easy, the too laid back, the too easy going father, too laid back father. Now, I could have called him the easy going father, but you all understand the terminology simp better. And that's why I use the simp father, okay? Because that makes it easier for y'all to understand. Now, let's move on. After the simp father and the hard father, the immoral father. Okay, so shout out to my man, Hybrid 711. And thank you so much. Happy Father's Day, brothers. T-Sam, Under the Blood, and Simple Shit TV, support Black Male TV. Who else we got up in here? My man, Lance Jackson, thank you so much. And T-Steps, thank you so much, man. Big shout out to Lance Jackson. Thank you so much for that $49.99. Now, I want to talk to you guys about the immoral father. The immoral father. Somebody type the immoral father in the chat room. Why is morality in leadership an absolute requirement? Huh? Why is that? Why do you think it is? Some of you guys had immoral fathers. They were drug dealers, they were gangbangers, they were street hustlers. They had hoes on the side. They were in and out of the penitentiary. These are immoral men. Do you respect them? Do you respect these men? No. Some of you all had fathers who cheated on your mothers, and you don't respect these men, do you? Remember, morality is a key component to leadership. If you're going to be the father of a household, you need to always be able to maintain the moral high ground. Doesn't matter how tall you are. Doesn't matter what you look like. Doesn't matter how much money you make. As long as you maintain the moral authority over that household, you're where you should be in the home. And you justified in correcting everybody in that home and bringing order to that house. So morality is the absolute requirement. I told you about my Uncle Slim and his dilemma. Some of you have instances like this. Your daddy's a street hustler. You might love him, but you don't really respect him. You don't really trust him because you've seen him do too much lying and cheating and stealing. So as a father, even though that's your blood, even though that's your father and you're supposed to listen to him, you don't want to. Something inside of you, the God within you is saying, no, this man who gave me life is not worthy of trust. That's a hell of a place to be in for a young boy. It's a hell of a place to be in for an older man. It's the reason why a lot of brothers say, man, I got to get away from this. Am I hitting home to anybody? Some of you all, your father was immoral. And you as a man, you recognize, damn, I get it, there's temptation out there, but you didn't have to do all that. Look how destructive these men are. Oftentimes with their penises. Having sex with family members, bringing women home. You see your father hanging out with another woman in the car somewhere that ain't your mama. You got sisters and brothers across town that you ain't never met. And everybody know about it. You go to school, there's somebody with your same last name. But somebody say, my cousin got that same last name. That's an immoral father. These men try to buy their way back into, yes, I can't, I got these gifts as to justify their immorality by saying, yes, I'm a provider. Yeah, you're a provider, but damn, look what you're doing. You selling drugs to the community. You pimping, you robbing people. You stealing, you immoral. No matter what a man does, no matter how much a father provides, if you see that man is immoral, you can't respect him. And in that, you fail at fatherhood. Look at the story of the book, The Godfather. I use that because I don't want to go too personal with anybody. The story of Michael Corleone, great man, right? I guess. Not necessarily a moral man. He had his own brother killed, participated in all sorts of criminal activity through his family. His wife didn't respect him. His children didn't respect him. His daughter didn't believe him. And look what it did to him. The daughter ended up sleeping with the cousin. We are talking about the sins of the father that fall upon the children. That's the whole thing. The simp is a weak man who is out of his position. The immoral father does not abide by the laws set forth by the Most High. The foolish man is a tyrant. He's a barbarian. He's uncivilized. He's not a fair man. He's not a just man. That's not what the Most High wants. The immoral father is worse than all of them. Because whether he's a protector or a provider, the mere fact is he is immoral and he is not standing in the place of God in his home. He's cheating on his wife. He's cheating on his woman. The children see that. He's bringing destruction, diseases sometimes, outside babies, money going to different people. That is not the father you want to pattern yourself after. That is not someone you want to be leading your household. That's why morality is an absolute requirement in fatherhood, brothers. Setting that good, godly example for your sons and your daughters. Because, see, your sons will either pattern themselves after you or reject you and not want to have anything to do with you. Your daughters will do the same thing. They will run from you so far that they'll end up with another man just like you, trying to rehabilitate him. That's why that's why women who have thugs as fathers typically end up with men who are thugs. The immoral father is dangerous. And we've had a lot of them in the black community. Next, when I come back, we're going to talk about the stepfather. Y'all didn't know? Ain't it Father's Day? I'm going to have a conversation with stepfather. Somebody type stepfather in the chat room. This is going to be a rough one. I know. I know you love them kids, but that's all right. We're going to be back. Y'all do what you got to do. Praise God. Praise Moses. I hope you guys appreciate the time that I'm putting into this, because clearly it's taken a lot of thought to put this together. And this has been something I've been planning for a while because people have been asking me, okay? Now, ideally, you know, we don't have these conversations. Y'all like it spicy. You like me uptone and screaming and hollering at the internet. But I think this is a necessary conversation. So we've talked about the hard father, both the foolish and the wise father, the wise hard father. We've talked about the simp father, other ways known as the father that's too easy and too laid back. We've talked about the immoral father. Now we're going to talk about the step father. What I need you first to recognize, fellas, is that you cannot sacrifice for another man's child what you would do for your own. Now let me help you understand something. And we might go a little bit over, might go a little past 2 hours because, you know, I wanted to get these concepts in. As a stepfather, you know that that child is not yours. You can't sacrifice. Somebody type sacrifice in the chat room. If you worth $1 million, buying your stepchild a $50,000 car is not a sacrifice to you. If you make $50,000 a year, buying your child a car that costs $50,000 is a major sacrifice to you. So just because you can pay for the things that a child needs does not mean it's a sacrifice to you. Do you understand that concept? Just because you can put food in a house and y'all got a bigger house than what is that don't mean you sacrifice what that man will sacrifice. We're presented with the opportunity. It just means you can afford to pay for this child's life, assumingly with his mother. So let's not confuse that. What you do for him versus what you're willing to sacrifice. Sacrifice means, damn, I'm giving something I need. That's why they would sacrifice what? They Adam, Cain and Abel. God didn't appreciate Cain's sacrifice because it wasn't really a sacrifice. Abel, on the other hand, gave him his best. You can't give that child your best because that's not your child and it goes against your biology. And what often ends up happening is you have regret. You have feelings of waste. Let me give you an example. The reason I tell you brothers to leave these single mothers alone is because I know that you can't do for them, you can't sacrifice for them what their parents will be able, their fathers will be able to sacrifice. And whether or not that man has $2 or $2 million, that child is going to appreciate that father's sacrifice more than what you bestow upon them if it's not a sacrifice. And children know, just like you know. You know when someone's giving you their all versus someone who's giving you what's necessary. Story that I share in my books, my mother's husband. I was in my 11th grade year going to my senior year. There was a football camp, a little out, maybe 45 minutes, an hour and 30 minutes outside of Los Angeles that I was invited to. And we got up on a Saturday morning and we commenced to drive. I think it was like halfway to San Diego or something like that. And by the time we got there, they said, well, you know, he can stay, but the camp is only one day, so you're going to have to come back and pick him up. And it was only like 4 or 5 hours, which is, you know, I guess a considerable amount of time. But my father-in-law at the time, or my mother's husband, my stepfather, I should say, he said, no, I'm ready to go back. I'm like, we just got here. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm ready to suit up. Can't you just wait 4 or 5 hours, find something to do, and then we can ride back? He said, no, you can find your own way back. I'm like, I'm 16 years old. I have no car. You want me to take the bus back to South Central LA from halfway to San Diego? So he was not willing to sacrifice his time. You see? Now, contrast that by me and what I do for my children. I stop work. I pick my children up for 10 years. I go to their school. I pick them up. I get them changed. I take them to karate practice. Sometimes I take them to 2 karate practice. So I'm driving. I'm waiting while they practice. And then I'm taking them home to their mother 3, sometimes 4 times a week. So this 4 or 5 hours a day. After work, sometimes I don't get home. They get off school at 3 o'clock. I don't get home at 8 or 9 o'clock. I still got work to do. I got to go work next day. This is a sacrifice that I'm willing to make for my own children. Would I do that for somebody else's children? Hell no. Can't do it. And I'm not going to feel guilty about it. Do I blame my stepfather? No. He wasn't my father. What I do for my children, I can't do for somebody else's children. Let me tell you guys again, all you stepfathers out there, let's be honest with each other. It's a thankless job, and you know it. And you know deep down inside those kids aren't yours, and you feel like as though this is a waste of my resources. And then you done messed around and you got your kid and she got some other kids and you paying for them all, but it's damn, don't you wish you could just only have to pay for your own kid? Huh? Yeah, you do. You do wish you, and that's what I'm telling you. It's a waste to you. And you have regrets. If you thought that for that split second, damn, I wish I only had to pay for my own kids. You feeling regret. So don't put yourself in that position of being a stepfather, because now you got children who think you're going to be their father and you're going to play that role of moral leader and provider and protector, and you fall short. So now you become one of those fathers that have let these children down. You're inadequate. You add to the problem. As opposed to being man enough to say, hey, I can't date a single mother. The reason why is because I can't treat your children like I would treat my own children. And so because of that, I'm not going to even endeavor to try to accomplish that task and just walk away. Matter of fact, suggest to that woman she needs to go back to her baby daddy or give the children to their dad or their ex-husband. Right, Simple Shit TV. You're just adding on to the problem. And you're helping perpetuate more of these so-called generational curses. And see, with that regret comes other things: abuse, neglect. This is what happens, brothers. Shout out to my man 504 Stoic Night. Happy Father's Day, brothers. This is a much needed message, which I appreciate it. I hope you guys appreciate it too, man. I hope you appreciate it too. So here's the thing. We 2 hours in. I think I've said enough. I think, we talked about it. If I was to write a book about fatherhood, I would definitely expound upon some of these stories, give more details, use biblical references, some things you can really sink your teeth in and help you be the best fathers you can be. This is kind of what it would look like in verbal form. But for the most part, if you enjoyed this broadcast, if you think it's worthwhile, hit the number 1 button. Let me know you appreciate these type of topics, these really soulful character building conversations. If you appreciate this, hit the number 1 button. Let me know. Let me know. I want to see before we leave. I'll play a little music as you guys come to the conclusion. Because otherwise, we can go back to talking about other stuff. But I thought that this would be something that you guys would be interested in hearing. If you appreciate it, if you like, let me know. Okay? Let me see. I see the ones coming in. Yeah. Right, my man. Yeah. So just think about that. Think about these concepts. Let's run through them again. Y'all can add on. I look forward to reading the comment section. The hard wise father, the hard foolish father, the simp father, the immoral father, the stepfather. Okay, there's so many more I could expound on, so many more archetypes that I could talk about, but that's going to depend on you all. That's going to depend on the response I get from this. If only 2,000 people watch it, I'll know, well, this is something we would talk about in a private session because it's only going to be for certain people. If I get 10,000 people that follow it, maybe more. Maybe we'll talk about it again. But nevertheless, as we are 2 hours into this thing, I'm going to go ahead and let y'all go. Happy Father's Day, fellas. For those of you guys who are fathers who haven't been able to see your children and you're fighting for them, keep fighting. For those of you guys who haven't decided that you need to fight for your children, fight for your children. Because if nothing else, you want to make sure your children understand, hey, my daddy fought for me, because that's what they need to hear. That signifies that you love them enough and you didn't just abandon them in that infertile ground and let them grow up and let the weeds choke them out. Okay, guys? Nevertheless, big shout out to everybody who contributed. Shout out to all the super chats. Shout out to all the guys who came through. Shout out to all my wrench mob. Shout out to all the dads, man. Shout out to everybody doing the best they can. Remember, your sacrifice is your sacrifice. Doesn't matter how much you give. Did you give from the heart? Did you give without regret? Did you do for your children as best you could and really as best you could? That's what counts, family. That's what counts. Either way, I love you guys. God bless you. And as I always say at this time, this is Uncle D, the Blizzard King, also known as Dennis Spurling, advocate for black men, advocate for all men, but generally speaking, black men in the United States. And I'm out.